The Economic Freedom Fighters Party has also welcomed the ICJ's advisory opinion on Israel's policies in the occupied Palestinian territory, including East Jerusalem. The ICJ has declared Israel's presence in these territories as unlawful, emphasizing the need to uphold international law as well as the rights of the Palestinian people. In its statement, the EFF has highlighted the importance of global solidarity and also urged the international community to work towards a just as well as lasting solution. It says South Africa's involvement in this process underscores its commitment to fighting oppression as well as exploitation. Well, Thembisa Fakude is a senior research fellow and director at AFRISID, and he joins us now to weigh in on the International Court of Justice outcome against Israel and its occupation of Palestine territories. Thembisa, very good afternoon to you. Always great having you with us. Look, lots of developments, right, on the Israel-Palestine matter. The ICJ ruling on Palestine territories occupied by Israel, finding that indeed, and I think you had predicted earlier this year, that Israel policies on the occupation of Palestine are in fact illegal. So what's your reaction to this now?
Well, there's nothing surprising. The United Nations has issued a number of rulings and positions on Israel. Some of them were damning, but Israel continues to do as it pleases. So although, of course, this is good news for the people of Palestine and South Africa in particular, but Israel is not going to do anything about it. They've continued to construct illegal settlements in the Palestinian territory. Not long ago, they issued another instructions of construction of illegal settlements. So they've been doing this with or without any resolutions made by the United Nations or any other multilateral platform for that matter. So I don't see anything really serious in this regard. They're not going to stop. They're going to continue doing so. And I don't think there's anything that's going to stop them. The only country that might just put pressure or have to put pressure, because I think the ruling also says that the member states must put pressure on Israel to stop its expansionist and continuing occupation and, of course, abuse of the Palestinians. This will be the United States. But if the United States doesn't put pressure, we know that what Joe Biden has tried and he's also failed. So I don't see anything really that's going to put pressure on Israel to change its course.
You know, with that in mind, Thembisa, we know that, of course, speaking of enablers like the US, they're going into a much contested election very soon. And the outcome of that could potentially, of course, and we've heard in public Trump saying that outwardly, if he was to come back into power, he's going to not only end the war of course, in Israel, but also the war in Russia. So do you think, this could be something to look forward to in terms of the pressure that is needed that you're talking about in order to force Israel to backtrack?
Yes, indeed. But Trump, I don't think there's going to be any hope from Trump, because Trump is a supporter of what's known as the Abraham Accord, which gives power and favors Israel. So even Trump is unlikely to change course in Israel, is unlikely to put pressure on Benjamin Netanyahu. What he wants a further suppression and oppression of the Palestinians, supported by countries such as United Arab Emirates under the leadership of Mohammed bin Zayed in Saudi Arabia. So there is really nothing that is going to change with Trump or without Trump. Joe Biden has been bad news for the Palestinians. We've seen him dragging his feet and a lot of mishaps during this continuing genocide we're seeing in Palestine. So when Trump comes in, yes, he might probably stop the war, but at what expense? At what cost for the Palestinians? Palestinians are likely to find themselves even in a much, much more dire situation. In Ukraine, it might be different, but I don't think anything is going to favor nor improve the lives of the Palestinians when Trump comes in or Joe Biden comes in, because both of them, they've shown in the past, they are total and absolute support of Benjamin Netanyahu and his policies against the Palestinians.
Let's backtrack a little bit, Thembisa. I mean, and just revisit as well as remind our viewers about some of these policies that the Israeli defense also occupies the land of the Palestinians. How is this directly against international law, as the ICJ ruled? Why has it also been left in this manner for so long? I mean, Israel occupied Palestine in 1948 already, Thembisa.
Well, because there's no country that's brave enough to tackle Israel. Israel has been told time and time again that it's against the international law to continue occupying and constructing what is known as the settlements, illegal settlements in the territory which is marked in inverted commas to become a Palestinian country whenever that happens. So the Palestinian territory at the moment is waiting to confirm certain borders, but Israel continues to construct these illegal settlements, and it's against the United Nations injunctions, it's against the international law, and they've been doing so, without any hesitation over the past couple of years, from 1948, 1967, 73, till as early as a couple of months ago. They continue to construct, and in fact, as they construct, they're also demolishing Palestinian homes, claiming that Palestinians are illegal occupying that land, particularly in the West Bank and in some of the areas inside what is known as Israel, and the Palestinians regarded as Palestine 1948.
So, Thembisa, I mean, I know we spoke about it when this ICJ issue was still largely in the news. And I think the UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres just made mention of it around the fact that there needs to be a reform, a revisitation of some of the policies within the UN to be able to actually, embargo some of these countries that seem to be aiding in some of these conflicts, particularly when it comes to Israel. I mean, so if this could happen, essentially, and we see, of course, the UN banning, for example, the United States from the member states, do you think this could have any weight in terms of ensuring that the Palestinians finally get their territory back and, of course, the war stops in Gaza?
Well, I don't think so. I don't think there's anything that's going to happen. You must remember that 2 or 3 Palestinians in dire straits at the moment. You've got those that were kicked out in 1948, lingering around the Middle East and other parts of the world, who are hoping to go back to their homes when the state of Israel was constructed. You've got others who were also kicked out of Palestine or forced to go to countries such as Jordan in 1967. And there are some also who have been, over the years, including the 1973 war and other conflicts that have engulfed the Palestinian territory, who have been continually pushed out of their homes into inside Palestine. So, for example, in Gaza, most of the Gazans are actually internally displaced Palestinians who were kicked out of what is known as Israeli proper Palestine 1948. And those who are in the West Bank, again, most of them are internally displaced people who were kicked out of their homes in 1967 and 1948. So you've got the people in Gaza. I know that people have forgotten that most of Gazans are actually refugees who were kicked out in 1948 and 67, who are looking forward to going back to their homes. So it's not going to happen. I don't see anything happening anytime soon, because the land which is currently occupied by Israel belongs to the Palestinians who are currently living in places such as Lebanon, Jordan, Syria, who are hoping to go back. And some of them are in Gaza. So Israelis are not going to leave their land. Tel Aviv is going to remain Tel Aviv. To many Palestinian, Tel Aviv, for example, is Jaffa, because most of them, it was called Jaffa before it became Tel Aviv. And those people are kicked out of Tel Aviv, for an example. So where do they go to? Those who are currently in these countries waiting to go back to their land.
Very concerning indeed, Thembisa. Thank you so much for your input this afternoon, Mr. Thembisa Fakude, the Senior Research Fellow at AFRISID.